What would you do if a cop reached for your phone and told you to stop recording right now? If you panic, argue, or move the wrong way, you can turn a legal recording into an arrest in seconds. But if you know the exact rules, your camera can protect you instead of hurting you. Hit subscribe right now, because what I'm about to show you could save your video, your freedom, and your case. Smash like too, because you do not want to forget this when police are in your face and your heart is racing. Here's what you're about to learn. You're going to learn where you can stand, what exact words to say, when you must move, and when you should never hand over your phone. You're also going to learn the biggest mistake people make when officers say they're just doing their job. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and the same pattern keeps showing up. People either get scared and stop recording, or they get emotional and make the stop worse. Let me show you exactly how to stay calm, keep your rights, and avoid crossing the line into interference. Here's the reality. Recording police is usually legal in public, but your rights are strongest when you act smart, not loud. If you miss one of these steps, you can lose the protection your camera gives you. Now let's talk about why this matters so much. When police know you're recording, one of two things usually happens. Sometimes they get more careful, sometimes they get more aggressive. Most people have no idea which one they're about to get. That's why your words matter. Your distance matters. Your tone matters. If you step too close, block an officer, touch anyone, scream over commands, or refuse a lawful order to move for safety, your "I know my rights" speech will not save you. On the other hand, if you stand where you're allowed to stand, keep your hands to yourself, and say the right sentence, you make it much harder for anyone to claim you were the problem. Here's the reality. Your goal is not to win an argument on the sidewalk. Your goal is to create clean video, protect yourself, and walk away with evidence no one can twist later. The first thing you need to do is lock in your position before you lock in your words. You want enough distance that nobody can honestly say you were crowding the stop, reaching into the scene, or making officers split their attention. Then you say one calm sentence that frames everything in your favor. Here's exactly what you say. "Officer, I'm recording from a safe distance and I will not interfere." Word for word. Memorize that line. Why does that line work so well? Because it does three things fast. First, it tells the officer you know recording is allowed. Second, it shows you're not trying to fight, threaten, or bait anyone. Third, it creates a clear record on your own video that you were trying to stay safe and nonviolent from the start. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection. When your own footage begins with you acting calm and reasonable, that matters later. Bad way? Most people say, "I can do whatever I want, don't touch me." Then the officer focuses on your attitude, not your rights, and the whole scene gets hotter. Good way. Smart people say, "Officer, I'm recording from a safe distance and I will not interfere." Then you look controlled, non-threatening, and much harder to accuse of obstruction. Watch what happens when you use that line. The officer now has to deal with a calm witness, not a loud target. You're not daring them, you are not insulting them, you're not trying to become the story, you are making it clear that your only job is documenting what is happening. And yes, this is 100% legal when you are in a public place and not interfering. That idea was backed up hard in Glik versus Cunniffe. In plain English, the court said a regular person has a protected right to record police doing their job in public. That case matters because it shut down the old excuse that only reporters or real media could do this. Your phone counts, your video counts, you count. Now let's be clear about what you cannot do. You cannot walk into a traffic lane to get a better shot. You cannot lean into an arrest. You cannot cross police tape. You cannot follow officers onto private property where you do not belong. And if an officer gives a real safety order, like moving back from an active fight, you do not plant your feet and turn it into a showdown. Your right is to record, not to physically control the scene. Former police officers have confirmed this works because calm, predictable people look less like threats. That does not mean every officer will like being recorded. Some won't. But your job is not to make them like it. Your job is to make your recording lawful, clear, and useful later. That starts with distance and that one sentence. Still watching? Good. Drop a comment and tell me if you've ever seen police tell someone to stop filming. I want to know what happened because once you hear tactic 2, you'll understand why that moment matters so much. The second tactic is about forcing the situation to become clear. A lot of people get trapped because they never ask the most important question. They just stand there confused while an officer barks orders that may or may not be lawful. You need clarity fast. You look at the officer and say this: "Officer, am I being detained or am I free to step back and continue recording?" Those exact words. Keep your voice flat. No sarcasm, no attitude. This line matters because police use uncertainty all the time. If you do not know whether you are being detained, you may freeze, overshare, or obey commands you never had to obey. But when you ask this question, you force the officer to choose. Either you are detained, which means they need a legal reason, or you are free to go, which means you can create distance and keep filming from there. Bad way. Most people say, "Why are you harassing me?" Then the conversation turns into emotion, and you still do not know whether you are free to leave. Good way. Smart people say, "Officer, am I being detained, or am I free to step back and continue recording?" Then the issue becomes clear, simple, and legal. Let me show you exactly why that matters. If the officer says you are free to go, you now move back a few steps and keep recording. Great. You just protected yourself and your footage. If the officer says you're detained, now there's a record that you were not wandering around or refusing random orders. You asked a clean legal question. Defense attorneys use this exact line in court because it helps show whether police had a real reason to stop you or were just trying to bully you away from the camera. This connects to a big case called Terry v. Ohio. In plain English, police can briefly stop a person only if they have a real reason to suspect crime. Not a vibe, not annoyance. Not because you made them uncomfortable by filming. That does not mean every detention is illegal. It means they cannot just use confusion as a weapon forever. Now, a warning. If the officer says you are detained, do not pull away, do not jerk your arm, and do not storm off saying you know the law. Ask if you can move to a safer spot, but do not make sudden moves. Your goal is to keep the legal issue clean. Let the camera capture what happens next. And if the officer says you are free to go, do not stay right in their bubble just to prove a point. Step back. Keep recording. Make it obvious you're trying to lower tension, not raise it. That makes your video stronger and their excuse weaker. The third tactic may be the one that saves your entire case. A lot of people think the fight is about whether they can record. Sometimes the real fight starts after the recording, when an officer wants your phone, your passcode, or your footage gone. This is where people collapse. They hand over the phone. They unlock it. They delete the clip. Huge mistake. Here's the trick they don't want you knowing. Even if police grab the phone itself, that does not mean they automatically get to dig through your digital life. Here's exactly what you say. "I do not consent to any search of my phone, and I will not delete anything." Say it slowly. Say it clearly. Then stop talking. That line matters because consent changes everything. If you unlock your phone because you feel pressured, you may be handing over your contacts, your texts, your photos, your location history, and the very video that proves what happened. This comes straight from Supreme Court rulings. In Riley v. California, the court said police usually need a warrant to search the digital contents of a phone. In plain English, your phone is not just a pocket item. It is your whole life. Bad way. Most people say, "Fine, I've got nothing to hide," and unlock the phone. Then police have access to far more than the video, and your leverage disappears. Good way. Smart people say, "I do not consent to any search of my phone, and I will not delete anything." Then you preserve your rights, and make any later search much easier to challenge. Now listen carefully. If an officer physically takes the phone, do not wrestle over it, do not grab it back, do not swat a hand away. Your job is to refuse consent with your words, not to turn a phone into a tug-of-war. If you can, say one more sentence. "Are you taking my phone under a warrant?" Then stay quiet. If they still take it, your video, witness names, and your spoken refusal can help later. This is 100% legal. You are allowed to refuse consent. You are allowed to refuse deletion. You are allowed to keep your mouth shut after that. And if the officer orders you to delete the footage on the spot, that is a giant red flag. Your recording is evidence. Do not erase it for them. 90% of people clicked away before this part. If you're still here, you're serious about protecting your rights. Drop a comment saying "I'm still here," because the next tactic is where people either keep the video or lose everything. The fourth tactic is how you stay protected when officers give you a movement order. This is the part nobody teaches, right? People hear "step back" and think they must stop filming, or they hear "move" and think they should argue from the same spot. Both are bad. You can often move and keep recording at the same time. Listen closely because this is critical. Your right to record does not usually vanish just because an officer tells you to create space for safety. Here's exactly what you say. "I am stepping back. I do not want to interfere. I'm continuing to record." Those 3 short sentences can save you. Why does this work? Because it removes their favorite excuse. They want to say you were blocking, distracting, or escalating. Your response shows the opposite. You're obeying the safety order. You are not surrendering your rights. You are doing both at once. Bad way. Most people say, "No, I know my rights. I'm not moving." Then the issue becomes refusal, and your recording turns into an interference argument. Good way. Smart people say, "I am stepping back. I do not want to interfere. I'm continuing to record." Then you comply with safety while keeping the camera rolling. Watch what happens when you do this. The officer loses the easy claim that you were causing the danger. Your video also captures the fact that you were willing to cooperate on distance. That can matter a lot if they later claim you were obstructing. Now here is what you cannot do. You cannot cross onto closed private property just because it gives you a better angle. You cannot shove your phone inches from an officer's face. You cannot run after them into a secured crime scene. And if your state has weird rules about secretly recording private conversations, Do not play games with hidden mics in private spaces. Keep your recording open, visible, and in public when possible. That keeps you on stronger ground. A lot of courts have said the right to record can still be subject to reasonable safety limits. That means police may control the immediate danger area. It does not mean they get to erase your rights just because they feel embarrassed by a camera. Your job is to make that difference obvious on video. Now let's put the whole legal picture together in plain English. One key case is Glik vs. Cunniffe. That case said regular people have a protected right to record police in public. Simple version. If officers are doing public work in a public place, your camera is usually protected. Another big case is Fields versus City of Philadelphia. That case made something very important clear. You do not need to be a reporter. You do not need to announce a protest. You do not even need a special reason. Recording itself can be protected. Then there is Riley v. California. That case said police usually need a warrant to search what is inside your phone. Simple version, grabbing the device is one thing. Going through your digital life is another thing. Put those cases together, and your tactics make sense. You record from a safe distance because courts protect recording, not interference. You ask whether you are detained because police need a lawful reason to hold you. You refuse consent to a phone search because your device carries private data far beyond one clip. That is why these lines matter so much. They are not magic words. They are clean words. And clean words help keep your rights clear when the moment gets messy. Now, let me show you exactly how this plays out in real life. Picture yourself walking past a traffic stop at night. Two officers have a driver on the curb. You pull out your phone and start filming from the sidewalk. One officer sees you and starts walking your way. The wrong way goes like this. You step closer to hear better. The officer says, "Back up." You stay put and yell, "Oh, I know my rights." The officer tells you to stop filming. You say, "Make me." Now the officer gets right in your face. He asks for your phone. You say, "Whatever, I didn't do anything," and unlock it to prove you are innocent. Your video is now a mess. The officer can claim you were interfering. Your own words sound hostile. And you may have just opened your phone for a full search problem you never had to create. Now the right way. You stay on the sidewalk. You hold the phone steady. You say, "Officer, I'm recording from a safe distance and I will not interfere." He tells you to move back. You answer, "I am stepping back. I do not want to interfere. I'm continuing to record." Then he keeps coming and tells you to stop. You ask, "Officer, am I being detained or am I free to step back and continue recording?" If he says you are free to go, you move back and keep filming. If he reaches for your phone, you do not yank it away. You say, "I do not consent to any search of my phone and I will not delete anything." See the difference? In the bad version, your emotions became the story. In the good version, your calm words became the record. One creates chaos, the other creates evidence. One hands police arguments, the other takes arguments away. Next video, I'm revealing what to say when police demand your phone password or claim officer safety to shut down your camera. Subscribe right now so you do not miss it, because that mistake ruins good cases every single day. So here's your quick recap. First, you record from a safe distance and say you will not interfere. Second, you ask if you are being detained or free to keep recording from farther back. Third, you never consent to a phone search and you never delete your footage for them. Fourth, if they order you to move for safety, you move and keep recording instead of turning it into a fight. That is the power of staying calm, using clean words, and letting the camera work for you. Hit subscribe so you catch the next video on phone passwords and police pressure. Smash that like button if this just made you feel more ready in a real encounter. And drop a comment telling me which line you're going to memorize first. Stay safe, stay calm, and keep your rights on camera.